Like,
Members, welcome you all for this today's study circle meeting on recent updates on labor laws. To handle this session, we have a very senior member, Ram K Navaratna sir. Welcome you, sir.
thank you, sir. It is my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. I welcome all the members for this very interesting program. I was discussing with sir also. Majority of the labor laws are plenty. We cannot imagine the amount of labors are there, so much of laws are there for labor, but very few professional chartered accountants will handle. From the beginning, this area is not much interested areas for chartered accountants, but majority of the laws like PF, ESI, everything, so many laws has become online and very interesting. So many litigation practice opportunities also lying in this, but members has to focus and they can strategize and they can practice in that area. And those are not practicing, they can get good updates because while generally discussing with your clients, any labor related, you can speak to them, you can update your knowledge on that. Today we have with us Ram sir to update all of us. Once again, I welcome you all for this program. And important notice, tomorrow also we have a 3-hour session from 5 to 8. I request member to register for that. And from again, December month, we successfully completed ongoing program on yoga, online yoga classes. We are going to continue that yoga training class virtually for January month also. Those who are interested, please register. And January also, we are planning to conduct so many interesting programs. I request member to register for that programs. With this, once again, I welcome you. I request our secretary Pramod to give a brief introduction of our today's speaker, Ram sir. Over to Pramod.
Thank you, Chairman. I would like to introduce Ram K Navaratna, sir, who diploma in training and development. He started his career in 1982 as a personal officer and rose to the rank of general manager. His experience in mining, steel, transport, printing, engineering, garment, grammar, food processing, and pharma industry. He has over 30 years of experience in the field of personal, industrial relations, administration, learning, study, and training. His areas of interest and experience was performance management, corporate social responsibility, training and development, brand awareness, from employer-employee perspective, building successful working relationships with working teams, statutory compliance, and employee satisfaction. He served in Sunday Magazine Driving Store, Indonesian Food Limited, and High-end Rank Clinical Lab Technology. His achievements include his successful HR practicing professional. Also, he has authored 11 books in HR field. As an innovative approach to the first time in the history of labor law, he fought 13 labor laws in Canada songs from which he received all well attention from HR professionals and government organizations. Various industries and developments honored him for his innovative work with which the common workplace is. He received recognition awards from NIPM, Karnataka, chapter, and two other professional bodies for his literary work for HR and labor. In addition to his authorship, many of his useful articles published in his professional journals and a regular writer in the Star Journal for National Institute of Personal Management, NIPM, KC. He likes, enjoys, and sharing knowledge and experience. So far, he has trained more than 50,000 participants on various fields across all the levels. Currently, he is running a HR and training services under the brand name HR Restaurant Channel. His YouTube channel, which has more than 30,000 viewers, and he is the chief executive of the Foreign Tax. With this brief introduction, I welcome you again and I present to you the episode of Ram K Navaratna. Over to you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm very happy to address the August gathering of Chartered Accountant Fraternity. Though I'm an old member associated with your institute for almost 2 decades, it is my pleasure whenever occasion is there because I see and meet here so many professionals, updation of my knowledge also. So thank you very much for providing me an opportunity to share my knowledge. Well, my dear friends, the totally 2 hours I am addressing the topics given to me are on Shops Act, Shops and Establishment Act, Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Gratuity Act, Industrial Dispute Act, then the Payment of Bonus Act, Maternity Benefit Act, and a standing order with reference to the central rules. What I'll do, first 1 hour, I try to cover 4 laws, and after that, about 5 minutes, I may give the break. I mean, small exercises, I'll get it done to you because since it is being a virtual, some kind of reinforcement is needed and also the fresher. So, well, with this, though the topic is on updation of labor law, now let me tell you almost 18 and 19 lot of changes have come in the law, of course, followed by code on labor codes. Of course, yet labor code we are awaiting for the implementation, though everything is ready. So therefore, as on day, we have to take and consider the existing laws only and their practices and compliance points. So now, from 20 to 22, there are not much any changes as far as the laws are concerned. So of course, wherever in between changes have come, I'll inform you. These are all some of the changes from so and so date it has come. So therefore, whatever I am doing and presenting you in a brief, the exception, they are all updated and as on day practiced and prevailing the law. Another thing what I would like to see, and these, most of these laws are central laws. You are all aware because labor is a concurrent subject wherein state and central both can form a rules. But major, almost about 44 laws are central. So most of these laws, whatever I'm doing, they are all central laws. Of course, with reference to state rules, we have to see. And Shops Act is a state act wherein in all the states we see, and each respective state rules we have to see. And this seminar being from the place Bangalore, though it is a virtual, and since I am from Bangalore, I am quoting most of these things with reference to the Karnataka rules. That is one of the assumptions that we have to keep in mind. Well, as I said, shops and a commercial establishment. So it is a state subject and states have made the rules. In between state, there may be variations, particularly in the forms and the registers, and in some of the provision, there is no uniformity in the quantum of the leave. And these are all some of the differences between the state to state shops and act. However, to avoid this one, in the year 2018, Government of India has brought out a Model Shops and Commercial Establishment Act. So therefore, on that line, one can go so that in future, uniformity will be there. However, that is only the model, like model standing order. Anyway, after this Karnataka Shops and Commercial Establishment Act, this thing, I'll show you. I'll show you that model standing order also. Now, coming to the Karnataka Shops and Commercial Establishment. So, and as the name itself suggests, shops and commercial establishments. Then let us see what are all the definitions. Shop is shop. Even the common man can understand whether it is a grocery, whether it is a stationery, whether it is a whatever, any other shop is a shop. And also the commercial establishment, there it will make some difference. And the whole idea of this shops and commercial establishment, this is called regulatory law. It comes under the regulatory laws like Factories Act, Mines Act, Plantation Labor Act, etc., etc. This act provides for the regulation of conditions of work and also the employment in shops and commercial establishment, because it is a huge sector. Smallest to big sector will be there, wherein the employees who are all working, they should have some regulations, normal norm should be there. This is how this law regulates for that. I think most of you chartered accountants, you are all come across shops and commercial establishment act. And in a common language, many of the entrepreneurs, traders, they call it as a labor act or labor license. For shops and commercial establishment, most of the industries and the business people, they call it as a labor license. And in this act, various definitions we have to see. Anyway, I'm not going in detail about the definition. I'm just giving you an awareness. Adult, what is an adult? Apprentice, child, open and close. These are all defined. Now, as far as the commercial establishment, what it means, it is very important. Whether it is a trading or banking or insurance establishment or administrative service, engaged in the work, hotel, restaurant, boarding, eating house, any other refreshment house, theater, all other public amusement entertainment, these all will fall under commercial establishment, wider and widest coverage I can see. Now, to give an example, most of these corporate offices, you take any big company, corporate offices, they are all registered under shops and commercial establishment. Why are they shop? Are they commercial establishment? Yes, they are commercial establishment. The definition here defines administrative service in which a person employed or mainly engaged in office work. This is the one of the terminology. It is coined in the definition. So therefore, all these corporate offices or registered offices, as far as the labor law is concerned, they are all commercial establishment. Once they come under the commercial establishment, naturally the compliance and applicable provisions have to follow and they will all go. This is the first information. Then also it also includes such establishment the government may by notification declare to be a commercial establishment for the purpose of this act. Government has got all the time. Let us not worry about that. So with this basic understanding, one has to keeping in mind, then what is the day it is defined, because day is very important because it is a commercial and business establishment. Then the employer, normally the occupier and the managers, they are the employer. Why it is defined? Because they are accountable for the affairs and employees matters. Therefore, the employer is defined. Then another important definition, establishment. Okay, whenever any inspector or authorities come, they speak the word and utter the word establishment. Here the establishment means a shop or commercial establishment. That is how even the PSI authorities also, they coined this word, they talk about this word, which you might have come across. Next important provision, as I said, it is a regulatory laws, period of the work. One thing, my dear friends, you have to understand, for most of all these laws, Factory Act is the mother act, because Factory Act is a very, very sound act, because after industrialization, it has come. Okay, most of those have been migrated from Factories Act. So notice of the period of the work, it is an obligation on the part of the employer to define the period of the work, whether first shift, second shift, general shift, with a time of 8 hours and also with the rest of the intervals. Then what is the shop? Shop is also defined. I will not go into that because most of us are not concerned, you professionals. However, you can keep in mind whether it is a store, godown, warehouse, etc., whatever that will be there, they are all the shop. So for them also, this is all going to be governed. Then, very important aspect, employee. So you have to understand who is an employee. He should be appointed by the principal. He should work in the establishment, either permanent, periodical, contract or piece rate or on commission basis. Okay. All those including an apprentice, any clerical or other member of the staff of a factory or industrial establishment. Okay. Those who are not under the Factories Act provision, okay, they are all the employees. Many of the firms, particularly the family-owned business, like Kirana shop or boutique, okay, some family members are going to be employed there. When the family members are included, they are not covered as an employee. This is one of the distinct factor you must understand. That is what in the registration form, particular column you can see there. That is what understanding you should have. Having understood what is shop and what is commercial establishment, then what is the next procedure? So next procedure is, once you opened office or a trade or hotel or restaurant office, then registration is should come. Okay, it has to be registered within 30 days. That is the mandate. Okay, so now almost all states, including Karnataka, everything is online. Registration is there. One has to go to the labor department portal. Once you're there, all the details will be shown. Okay, then you have to take your user word and password. Then all your process will start with the documentation, etc., etc. First primary thing one has to keep in mind: registration within 30 days. Normally in Karnataka, once the registration holds for 5 years. Of course, it may vary from state to state. So before expiry of the period, it has to be renewed 30 days in advance. That is the renewal one should keep in mind. And in between, there may be change, either change in the director or change in the employees, change in the process, or change in the working. Depending on that, if there is a change, within 15 days to be communicated. Whatever the changes are going to be stipulated, they have to be communicated within 15 days. That is another compliance point you have to keep in mind. The same way, whenever you want to close the organization, okay, closing also within 15 days, you have to intimate to the department and surrender the certificate. Of course, though there is no mandate to surrender the certificate, but better you do, but obtain the acknowledgement. Okay, that is what. So thus, these are all opening, amendment, and closing provisions. One has to comply this one. And having done that one, now your organization has got legal entity or legal body. It has come. Personality has been emerged. The next thing, the employees are going to be there. The role of the employees. Entrepreneur or the owner or the manager, whatever the number of employees he is going to appoint, as I already said, the employee, he or she should issue the appointment order within 30 days. For that, format is also there. In Karnataka, it is called Form Q. Small, handy information where it contains name, designation, salary, what work he is going to do, period of work, etc., etc. It is a mandate. In that, name, designation, wage scale, terms and conditions are mentioned. Now you may ask me the one question here. Sir, in our company, ours is a medium type company or small scale company. We have got 1 page, 2 page, 3 page appointment order. In spite of this, whether we should issue Form Q, you may ask the question. But as long as you comply the provisions of Form Q contents, that appointment order is okay. That is what the compliance point you can keep in mind. Now, next important thing is Karnataka government limits the work hours under the shops and establishment. In 2020-21, there was an amendment, small amendment, wherein it said, in any establishment, person can work up to 9 hours, subject to 48 hours in a week, and the total, including the overtime hours, it should not exceed 10 hours. Okay, that is one of the provisions that they made. Because earlier it was maximum 9 hours. So now it is 10 hours, including the overtime. That you have to keep in mind. And also further, you should keep in mind, it is not a good habit to continue or engage the persons on overtime. Because as you are all aware, overtime is an expensive affair, costly affair. So however, the law stipulates all these overtime hours in a quarter, that Jan to March, April to June, whatever that will be there, hours should not exceed 50 hours in a quarter. That is the maximum limit as far as the Karnataka is concerned. It is of course in most of the statutes also. That one should keep in mind. Next, the hours of work, as I said, 8 hours and 48 hours or 9 hours on any day, subject to 48 hours in a week. all those together you have to read. And these work hours, either shifts or general shift, you have to notify and mention, okay, in the notice board. And in case you get it done any extra work, that is called overtime, one has to pay twice the rate of the wage. But in all day-to-day language, it is called double the rate of the wage. One more provision is, once you commence the shift, let us assume 8 o'clock, then before 1 o'clock, you have to provide 1 hour intervals. That is called a rest for interval for rest. Okay, in between either for 1 or 2, because human body needs reinforcement. Then also, having seen that one, then weekly holiday, it need not be Sunday only. Okay, after every 6 days, there should be a weekly holiday. Okay, these are all the working hours. Okay, that's what one has to keep in mind. And that's what, for the interval for rest, no period shall exceed 5 hours, and that such person shall work for more than 5 hours before he has had interval of rest at least 1 hour. Okay, 1 hour, either you call it as a tea break or lunch break, whatever, that you should keep in mind. And OT should not, I said, including OT on any day, it should not exceed 10 hours, 50 hours in a quarter or continuous hours. That is what the working hours. Weekly holiday, I have already showed 1 day of the week, and this should be in Karnataka, it should be displayed on Form Q, on notice board, or in a conspicuous place. That is the law. Of course, from state to state, though the provisions are almost same, form number may change. So that you have to check from respective state rules whenever you are complying or operating this provision. Now, next important provision under the Shops Act, an employer has to keep in mind, or entrepreneur has to keep in mind, is annual leave with wages. Okay, what we call, some companies is called annual leave, surrender leave, yearly leave. It may call by different name, but annual leave. Every establishment shall be entitled to leave for which shall avail for the number of days calculated. An employee is eligible for that. And the mode of calculation is for every 20 working days, there will be one leave. Okay, that is the mode of the calculation for this thing. In a year, if you presume, if a person worked for 300 actual working days, divided by 20, it will come to 15 days leave, to give an example. And also during the first 12, in addition to this annual leave in Karnataka, entitled during the first 12 months of continuous service and during subsequent 12 months, such service in any establishment, okay, not exceeding 12 days. This is on the ground of sickness or accident incurred or sustained by him for any other reasonable cause. In other words, let me clarify once again, in addition to annual leave of 14 or 15 days, there will be 12 days as far as the Karnataka is concerned, so that employee is eligible. Now, fraction of while calculating the leave, any fraction, if it comes half, you have to take to the next one. Like in PF, PSI, we do, if it is a 50 paise, then we take round up to next or previous rupee, like that, it will be all there. And supposing an employer has not granted leave, then what happens? Because of the work exigencies, okay, then it can continue or will accumulate. The law says 10 days, frequently he can take maximum free frequency, and maximum 10 days at a time he can say, the law says. However, it is not hard and fast rule. We can modify as per the convenience of the employer and the employees. This is a broad guideline. Okay, and even the employer can frame a scheme of leave, how to be granted, how not to be granted, force or refusal, how much it can accumulate, etc., etc. Employer can form a rule based on these guidelines. And another thing, annual leave, unavailed leave, okay, taken into consideration, computing the period of any notice period. Okay, that is what one of the important. Many of the corporate companies, they will ask, whenever any employee submits resignation, 1 month or 2 months notice period will be there. Okay, then the employer may say, we are going to adjust your leave. But here the law says unavailed leave should not be used for notice period. That is what the law says. Keep in mind. And wage during the leave period, okay, it should be paid. That is why it is called leave with wages. And if it is a daily rate, average wage, total full-time earnings have to be taken. And next provision under the law is this leave can be earlier, it is said, can be accumulated till 30 days. Now government of Karnataka has amended and it has made 45 days leave can be accumulated. Okay, that is the provision, the thing. And other states, we can check with the other states. One more important thing, employment of women and children. Okay. Earlier, of course, prohibition of employment of children is there. Anyway, nobody is going to employ children. Nowadays, it is prohibited. And prohibition of employment of women during night, earlier it was there. But after ITBT evaluation, emergence, women were also allowed to work during the night, but subject to certain conditions. Those conditions are very stringent, like safety and dignity, maintaining the dignity, working hours, etc., etc. We can go in detail. And for IT companies, particularly, this is the advantage. They have to submit every month list of the women employees working. Okay, leaving the employees, they have to submit and take approval. Okay, that is one of the mandate as far as the Karnataka is concerned. Having seen that one, now how this law is going to be managed? There are enforcement officers. They are called labor inspectors. In fact, in the Act, there is a separate chapter itself. Authorities under the Act or the inspectors. Please remember, they have got enormous powers. So that whenever they come, they are allowed to check your working hours, talk to the employees, see the records, go around, make an evaluation. All those things they can make. One has to facilitate them whenever they come. Okay, they have got all the powers and it is their right to enter that one. And once another important factor, an employer or entrepreneur is supposed to maintain registers and records and display certain notices. And employer to produce all these registers, records, etc. for the inspection whenever they come. That is another provision. That is what I said, they can verify the records. Now, whenever an employer wants to terminate or dismiss the employee, there is a procedure. He has to provide notice, 1 month notice with the due. That is called what I say, natural justice. What we say, principles of natural justice. He has to do with that. The employer has to follow the provision. Otherwise, he will be end up in penal provision and other provision. So next thing is one more obligation of the employer is exhibition of name board. The name board of the establishment shall be in the Kannada because I am talking Karnataka. That should be on the top and the big letters, and below that only any other language. Okay, that can be done, and that is still prevailing the laws. And this is in almost all states. Of course, in Tamil Nadu and all that, how much that script should be there, size is also mentioned. It all depends. But in Karnataka, first Kannada, below that, rest other language, whatever, you want to intake. Another provision, as I said, it is a regulatory laws. Safety provisions are also important for the employee. Building more than one story to be provided with 2 stairs. This is in case of fire. That's all important. Like nowadays, IT companies, huge buildings. In case of fire, lot of halla gulla will be there, commotion will be there. So therefore, 1 story to be provided with 2 stairs, and that door to be should not be locked to come and go out. That is the law. And exist to external stairs to be open inside. They should be open inside in case of any fire or smoke, etc., etc. And it is a duty of the employer to take all precautions against the fire. This is one of the mandates. Then, like all other act, here also the penalties and offenses are all there. Whenever any employer contravenes or non-compliance of the law, they are liable for penalties and offenses, which one can go through the Act and rules. And also for this Act, application of Payment of Wages Act and application of Employees Compensation Act are also applicable to the employees. And one more important aspect of that, what are all the registers and records that the employer has to maintain? These are all some of the forms and registers as far as the Karnataka is concerned. Form A, registration, renewal and change. In one form, it is all there online. As I said, notice of holiday which to be displayed in the company or firm establishment, Form P. Q, appointment order. R is exemption to engage women workers during night shift, particularly the IT and what we say, the companies nowadays, modern economic companies. Then Form S, exemption for women night shift working subject to conditions. This will be given by the Labor Department, which it has to be revalidated and kept all the time by the employer. And also the Form F is called leave with wage register. Of course, nowadays one can maintain all these online, but they should be in the format. Whatever the format is there, there should be the soft copies under Electronics Act that can be done. One more book, it is called Inspection Book, but in Shops Act, it is called Visit Book. Whenever an inspector visits the organization, he carries the inspection, then he issues inspection notes. All those have to be kept in that visit book, which is mandated. Then a Form T is a combined muster roll cum register of wages, what we call attendance and wage register. Okay, it has to be maintained even computerized, and it should be all the time updated. Then annual return is also there. It is called combined U form, combined form U in Karnataka online. Then abstracts of the act containing Shops Act, then other applicable act, as I said, payment of wage, employees compensation, contract labor, maternity benefit, all those have to be displayed in English and vernacular language in conspicuous place or near the entrance where majority of the people can view that one. So since it is a Karnataka, I am telling abstract of English and Kannada. And Form H is a property of an employee, make entries from time to time. Earlier days, we used to provide a leave slip or leave book to the employees. But after all computerization now, it is all HRIS or MIS, where, one can do on computerized, the employees can see. That is allowed, but should be in the format. Okay, so that is what one of the provision. Then some of the statutory forms like records to be kept at a workplace. Whenever they come, you should not say all my records are with the auditor's office. No, that is not the right answer. But normally, most of the establishments say, sir, all these records are with our auditors. And separate establishment, separately. It is not a combined one license. For you have 4 locations, you have to have the 4 locations registrations, and you have to keep all separately for 4 locations. That you have to keep in mind as compliance point. One more important thing, my dear friends, to keep in mind, all the labor laws records have to be maintained for the 3 years from the last entry. Okay, last day of the entry, 3 years preservation of the records. Like your income tax, I think 7 to 8 years under Income Tax Act, maintenance of the record is mandated. Like that in labor laws, preserved for 3 years until the end of the next 1 or 2 exemptions are there in this for the attendance in this thing. Okay, and exemption to engage women employees during night shift shall make an application to Form R to the Labor Commissioner in Karnataka. Then they will issue Form S, that is for the exemption. And in case the employer wants to dismiss an employee, he can do following the notice period, following the natural laws. Then if there is any dispute or complaint, should they to appeal can be Assistant Labor Commissioner. Is the authority. Before that it can go. That is what the communication should be there. Having seen all these things, then last question: what are all the laws applicable to the Shops Act? These are all the laws: Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Bonus Act, of course subject to the provision of that, Payment of Gratuity Act, Industrial Dispute Act, the Employees Compensation Act, ESI, PF, National and Festival Holidays Act, Labor Welfare Fund Act, Payment of Wages Act. These are all the laws applicable for shops and establishment. You may ask me, sir, we have got only 2 employees, whether all these we have to maintain? Yes. Depending on the applicability and all that, it is mandate. Answer is in affirmative. Okay. Then, well, friends, this is all about Shops Act. But as I said, Model Shops and Establishment Regulation and Employment in 2016, this current government, okay, has been made. Anyway, I'll not go into the details of that. Just I'm sharing the information, key highlights. Okay. Applicable to shops and establishment employing 10 or more workers except manufacturing units. Again, you refer respective state. In Karnataka, even it is one is there, one has to obtain the register license, one has to take. Okay, 365 days it can be operated. Then restroom, ladies toilet, discrimination against women should not be there. Online common registration through simplified registers. Government can make a rules. Clean and safe drinking water should be provided. Lavatory, creche, first aid, canteen, etc. Festival holidays, okay, exemption of highly skilled workers, okay, etc. Biotechnology, ID, whatever I said, working hours 48, subject to 125 maximum overtime hours. And these are all some of the things, weekly hours, 48 hours, subject to 125 working hours. These are all some of the guidelines that Government of India in 2016 Model Shops Act they have given, so that the whole idea of Government of India is to bring the uniformity. Now the problem is many of the states, these leave provisions are different. Some states it is more, some states it is less. Now pan-India companies, many times it becomes difficult. Okay, then they cannot make a common rule or common policies. To minimize that one, I think that they have done. Anyway, it's a good effort that, so that at least henceforth future it can be available. Well, my dear friends, that is all about the shops and commercial establishment provision as far as the Karnataka, with specific to Karnataka state is concerned. This is almost prevailing in almost all the states. Well, so with that, it is a completion of first topic, that is on payment of, shops and commercial establishment act. Now, let me go to, now let me take next, I'll go to minimum wages act. Should we minimize that? Close my. Close my. Minimum wage. Minimum wage. Now, ಇದು ಬರ್ಬೇಕು ನಾನು ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಶೇರ್ minimum wage. Is it visible? Minimum wages? Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
It's visible, na?
ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಪಿಪಿಟಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ,
ಹಾ.
ಪಿಪಿಟಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ನಿಮ್ದು ಇದು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ವೇಜಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ, ಅದು ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
ಹೌದಾ, ಹೌದಾ, ಸರಿ ಸರಿ.
ಆ ಫೈಲ್ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಪಿಪಿಟಿ.
Okay, friends. Now let me take the second very important provision is minimum wages act. This is a, my dear friends, it is a very important and a serious act. Okay, because come what may, any establishment should not pay less than minimum wage. Among the, in the labor law, we make classification: serious, mean, medium, and mean. We make the classification depending on the severity and the penalties or the consequences. In that, it is high. I mean, risk-wise, it is high. That is what the minimum wage is at. And as the name itself suggests, fixing minimum rates of wages in certain employment. That is what the minimum wage. One thing you must understand, in fact, in one of the objective type question today, when it is appeared in your
Sorry to
thing,
interrupt. Your PPT is not open, sir. I think file ಮೇಲೆ click ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ.
now is it visible?
ಅಲ್ಲ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಸಿ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಆ ಫೈಲ್ ಓಪನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ವೇಜಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು. ಫೋಲ್ಡರ್ ಓಪನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಬಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಇದು ಪಿಪಿಟಿ ಓಪನ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ.
ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ, ಇದು ಈ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ದೊಡ್ಡದು ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. Try to expand. This video, how to expand this video, I am not getting here. This screen, your screen, how to expand that?
Stop sharing, sir, once, then you can share it again. Stop sharing, sir, once.
I'll click ಮಾಡಿ.
How to make this expand on the screen? Share.
Sir, you can share, start sharing now.
Suraj, you can call in mobile, no?
Okay.
Call sir in mobile.
Suraj, just a minute. This. So, sorry for the introduction. It is a minimum wage serious act, and normally the minimum wage. I'll come straight away into the subject without much explanation. This minimum wage act is applicable for all scheduled industries. Okay, it is almost all industries are scheduled industry, whether it is a factory, whether it is a mine or plantation or shops and establishment or unorganized or organized. It is a scheduled industries. It is applicable for scheduled industries. Whereas under the new labor code, it has been removed. Scheduled industries removed. Everywhere it is going to be applicable. And the next is here also the employer is defined. That is again the occupier and the manager. And it is applicable for all scheduled employment. Now, next, the very important definition. What is wages? Okay, it is all being defined in the thing. So, as per the terms of the contract, whether it is express, implied, okay, in respect of the employment, whatever he is doing, including his house rent allowance, okay, all those any other amenities, contribution paid, and any traveling allowance, value of traveling concession, some paid to the person employed for the special expenses, These are all some of the exclusions. Any gratuity payable on discharge. These are some of the exclusions. Thus, you have to understand the definition of the wage. Inclusions and exclusions are there. Let us not worry much about that, just for the basic understanding. Then the employee is defined. It is very important definition. Of course, employee is all defined. What is employee? What is his work? Everything is defined. You can go through that one. Then there is a procedure for fixing the minimum rates of the wages. There is a body called Minimum Advisory Board under the minimum wages. How it is constituted? Who will be there? What are all the members? What is the quorum, etc., etc. Everything is there. While computing that one, size of the family they will take, then cost of the index also they will all take. Based on all that, meetings will be held, realistic figure will be held. Then based on that, the minimum wages are going to be fixed, objections are called for, and then it becomes the law. That is how the law is the process. Then as far as the Karnataka and most of the states are concerned, what is minimum wage? It is basically the basic wage and cost of living index, or DA, whatever you call by the different name. In Karnataka, it is called basic and CLA. CLA is cost of living allowance, and in day-to-day language, it is called DA also. Okay, and that is how it will be all there, the wage definition. And the wage, this can be revised from time to time. Normally, they keep the 5 years. From that, it will be time to time revised, and it will be notified. One has to refer for their respective states. Very important thing. Next point is payment of minimum rates of the wages. Whatever the law stipulates, in the central government, as far as the central organizations are concerned, twice the TA is going to be declared in July and in the month of January. That they have to refer to that. In Karnataka, it is annually. Cost of living allowance or DA will be there. Normally, it will come at the end of the February. From April, it will all start for all the scheduled industries. Basic plus that. Keeping that one, that becomes the minimum wage, and it is an obligation on the part of the employer to comply that. And it is made skilled, highly skilled, skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled. Okay, these are all normal categories that will be there. In some of the wages, designations are given. You have to refer the respective notifications. Whatever that wage is stipulated there, it is the duty of the employer to comply that. He or she should not pay less than that, failing to which it is a violation. That is what the payment of minimum rates of wages. Now, this Minimum Wages Act is applicable throughout for all the establishments, scheduled establishment, whether it is small, big, medium, entrepreneur, family run, whatever that will be there. So they cannot run like a corporate, smallest companies. Therefore, there what are all the working hours, what is rest hours, what is the intervals, what is overtime hour, what is the weekly off, okay, what is the overtime, all that is all mentioned in the Minimum Wage Act. So one of the question what I want to answer you here is whether smallest entrepreneur, whether 2 or 3, or the startup companies, whatever you call, sir, whether for that minimum wage is applicable, means yes, it is applicable. The reason being, because all the working hours, holiday, working, etc., weekly off, everything is governed under that in the absence of Factory Act or Shops Act. Okay, so that is what one of the important provision one should understand and keep in mind. Even the startups also, yes, they are covered under that provision. Then next is working hours, also the same, 8 hours and 48 hours, because this is the guideline and this is the base for all that. And in case of audits and all that, or annual stock taking, there, in fact, it is relaxed for more than 8 hours for the engagement. Okay, that is what the thing. Then overtime also the provision, twice the rate of the wage. Okay, that is what even under the minimum wage and also the under the other provisions of the law. Over and above of 48 hours, twice the rate of the wage an employer has to pay and the employee is eligible. And one more provision, wages for workers who works for less than normal working day. On the part of the employer, if we don't provide, it is considered as 1 day leave. Okay, that is one of the provision one has to keep in mind. Okay, therefore, it is the duty of the employer to provide the job for all that. And the government may fix different wage rate for two or more classes of the work. Government can fix and decide that one. And piece rate work also. Now question may come, sir, we are getting done job on piece rate work. For example, infrastructure companies, construction companies, these leather garments, some of the garment companies, they get the work done on piece rate. Whether piece rate is under the minimum wage? Yes, they are also whatever the piece rate you can give, no obligation, no problem. But minimum wages have to be paid. They should not be less than minimum wage. Over and above, that's all okay. Even the casual or piece rate, minimum wage should be there. Of the wages applicable to that establishment or the sector, I mean shop or commercial, textile, whatever that will be there. Here also the law stipulates for maintenance of registers and records, like all, muster roll, salary, leave register, okay, etc., whatever that law, and the wage slip is mandatory. One more important thing you must keep in mind, wage slip. Whether it is small, medium, or big, it should be there. Then here also, like all other law, inspectors are also there. Again, they have got enormous power. They can come, go through, see the compliance of the law, whether all are paid or no, it is correct or no, everything they can do. They can enter and also the examine the registers, exhibitions, etc., etc. And any person giving out work, they can see all that. They seize of the records also in case there is a need, and produce documents to the inspector. Employer has to do this one. Now, one more important provision one must understand under the minimum wage is claims. Supposing an entrepreneur has not given the minimum wage, or employer has failed to pay the minimum wage, then the employee has got all the right to get it claimed through the inspector. He can file the complaint before the authorities, and then they, with the due process of the law, call for examine, case will be held, and award necessary things. But one thing keep in mind, as I said, this law is very serious. In case of failure or the default, 10 times of the penalty will be there. 10 times of the minimum wage they can levy. Earlier days, this used to be misused a lot by trade union leaders and other labor leaders. Okay, so therefore, my dear friends, always our advice is always comply the minimum wage, whatever that is being stipulated. And here also penalties are also serious in the minimum wage. Okay, so therefore avoid penalties and start complying the laws. And non-compliance of the minimum wage act is a culpable offense under the Indian Penal Code. Okay, so therefore, my dear friends, this is the importance of the minimum wage that you have to understand in the thing. And offenses of the company also, that is one of the provision. And in some of the cases, of course, this used to happen earlier days because it was all manual payment. Nowadays, everything is online, bank payment is there, and disbursement of the dues of the employees. Earlier days, in the beginning of my profession, we used to say unclaimed wage day. Unclaimed wage day. We used to maintain unclaimed wage register. So that employer has to take steps to disperse. One more important provision, as a student of the labor laws, you must understand, all my dear professionals, contracting out is not allowed under the minimum wage. What do you mean by contracting out? It means the employee cannot give away his right. That is what the important thing you must understand. Anyway, details I will not give. One of my video is there in my YouTube channel on what is contracting out. It is a big subject. I think HR Space Resonance channel in YouTube, we can go through and view in detail. But contracting out, be aware. Okay. In other words, if the employee has agreed, you have agreed, then you cannot fix less than that. What is, sir? Between us, there is an agreement. He has employed. What is your problem? You cannot ask that inspector. That is what the contracting out you must understand. Well, my dear friends, having understood that minimum wage, okay, what is minimum wage, where it is applicable, we have seen. What is the minimum wage, we have seen. What is the severity, we have seen. What it contained, we have seen. Provisions of the law, we have seen. Now, having done with all that, what are all the compliance? No, normally in the minimum wage. Number one, form number one, register of wage. Form number two, in HR language, we call nil register. Register of deduction, damage, loss, and fine, we say. Whether they are zero, Whether you are not doing anything, all these registers are mandate. You have to keep in these formats and maintain nil every year, put a seal, signature, and keep the ready as a compliance point of view. Then this is the annual return online. It is all done in different state. Now it is called in Karnataka. We say combined annual return. In under the new labor code, we say unified annual return, wherein these 3-4 laws have been clubbed and done this one. That is the ease of doing business in the new labor code. It is done. But anyway, since yet they have not come into the effect, follow this one. This is the annual return contents which you can file online or offline as per the procedure of your company. This is one return is mandate. Then overtime register of workers. Whenever person is eligible for overtime or whenever you get it done, you have to pay the wages and maintain this register mandate. Then the register of the wages. This is also mandate. Then wage slip. Very, very important thing. Particularly the small vendors, labor contractors, they don't comply this one. Okay, it is a serious act. Anyway, nowadays computer is there. By making the technology, you say one can do this one and follow this one. That way, it is all simple. Wage slip is mandatory. Then muster roll, what we say in attendance or hajari, what we say. This is the format under the minimum wage. So these are all the provisions of the minimum wage. Okay, under the it is a central act, very serious act. For central government organizations, it is a minimum wages act. Bracket central rules have to be followed. Rest all the state, whatever the state is there, their respective rules have to be followed. But the law is same, and it is a serious act. Okay, this is what the minimum wage. As far as the Karnataka is concerned, Karnataka government has almost devised minimum wage for 82 scheduled industry. Okay, even for non-scheduled industry also, government of Karnataka has made a minimum wage for non-scheduled industry. That is what we call. And as I said, every March, February and March, cost of living index will be declared by Department of Statistics. Based on that, enhanced points, DA has to be calculated. Last year, I think it was almost about 340 or 540 was the DA enhancement from 21 to 22. Now 22 to 23, that will be there. That enhanced DA amount has to be added in existing DA, and that becomes the basic wage and plus revised DA whenever after adding that DA points, enhanced point. That's what the compliance to be made, and that is all mandatory. And one more tip what I want to provide you, please don't break this minimum wage. Even if you take the highest, it will come to almost about 15,000-16,000 is the basic and DA at skilled category in Karnataka. Don't try to break this one, keep that one only. Over and above of that, whatever you intend to give, you provide, then you know you are compliant of the minimum wage act and you are safe, and your operations and your system will go smooth and well run. Okay, friends, that is all about the minimum wage act. Okay, now next I will take the payment of gratuity act. Yes. Now I'll take payment of gratuity act. Dear friends, is it visible? Hello, is it visible?
Visible, sir, visible.
Okay, okay. So now let us next important act and provision is payment of gratuity act, which is also again very important act. As the name itself suggests, it is a gratuitous. Employee having worked in the organization, an obligation to get something for his retirement or for having served the organization. And it is applicable for all the organizations, whether factory, port, railway, etc., etc. And here also the definitions like employee is defined, family is defined. Family is also very important because in case of death, that has to go to the his dependents. Then what is wage is also defined. Then continuous service is also defined because some of the organizations absenteeism is more. Because 5 years being the stipulated period, that is the definition one must be aware as a student of labor laws. Then next, having seen that one, and this payment of gratuity act is applicable for the organizations where there are more than 10 employees and above. Okay, that's what one of the provision is applicable. And as far as the eligibility is concerned, an employee after rendering continuous service for not less than 5 years, eligibility condition, that is first condition. That is what we say, to get a gratuity, one has to serve 5 years. Normally we say in speaking language. Or on his superannuation. Superannuation is nothing but a retirement. Or on his retirement, or on resignation, or on his death, because death will not come with any intimation or invitation, or disablement due to accident or disease. These are all the conditions where an employee is eligible for the gratuity. This, there is no any change or any updation in the law. This is all existing. Having seen that one, how gratuity is calculated, almost all of you are all aware. Again, gratuity is calculated on the based on basic and DA or cost of living allowance. That is what last drawn monthly salary, that will be all taken, multiplied by 15, that is 15 is for every completed year of service, half month salary, that is 15, multiplied by number of years of service put in by the employee. All this has to be, divisor is 26. Okay, that comes to the gratuity payable today, max is 20 lakh rupees. This is all in normal industries, whenever it is there. Okay, this is how the gratuity calculation is. Okay, then in case of seasonal establishment, you know, because they don't work for all the 12 months, gratuity payable is 7 days wages, number of seasons for which an employee has worked. That's what you have to take, like sugar factories. Okay, some of the plantations, there they are all seasonal factories. And in case of piece rated workers and in case of daily rated workers, all that average of 3 months salary has to be taken and arrive to an average salary. And one more thing you have to keep in mind, in case of gratuity calculation, in excess of 6 months. To give an example, Ram Navaratna, I have worked for 5 years, 7 months. In that case, my gratuity, I should calculate for 6 years. Senthil, he has worked for 5 years, 3 months. Then he has to take 5 years. This is how in excess of 6 months, that is 1 year. And gratuity payable is 20 lakh, that is 2018 amendment. Earlier it was 10 lakhs, now it is 20 lakh rupees. Some other day somebody was asking me, sir, my MD is getting the gratuity more than 20 lakh, how I have to calculate? Of course, calculation is same. But over and above of whatever a person gets gratuity, number one, he'll end up paying the tax at his hand, and that is not called a gratuity. Normally we call it as an ex gratia. But I think as per my knowledge, there's still a 20 lakh income tax provision, whatever that is admissible, that will be there. This is only for your information's sake. Now, once a person is eligible for the gratuity, my dear professionals, this point is very important. I request all of you to please listen carefully. Within 30 days, once an employee leaves or becomes eligible for the gratuity, Within the 30 days, gratuity has to be paid. That is the law. In case you are delayed, 10% simple interest has to be paid. Earlier it was not there. In 2017, Act was amended and 10% simple interest will be there. Therefore, whenever you make F and F, what is F and F? Full and final settlement. Please keep in mind, you all professionals. One more important provision of the Gratuity Act, it can be forfeited. When whose services have been terminated for any act of omissions, commissions, causing any damage or destruction of property belonging to the employer, it can be forfeited to the extent of the damage or loss caused. Please keep in mind, sometimes financial misappropriation may be there, loss, damage, people may do. Forfeiture provision, keep in mind. And also wholly or partially can be forfeited if the services of such an employee have been terminated for his riotous or disorderly behavior or any act of violence on his part. If for these reasons, if his services are terminated involving moral turpitude, but if it is committed in the course of the employment, there also, gratuity can be forfeited. That's what normally we say. When person is dismissed, it is not available. Normally we say in the normal language. These are some important provisions. In case of any such events, people should keep in mind. Otherwise, it is not a whole 100% license for the gratuity. Next, one of the important provision you have to keep in mind is once a person joins, the law stipulates after 1 year, one has to take a nomination form, which is a mandatory, whether it is state or central. That form is called Form F, nomination. But normally in practice, we all HR take on the same day of joining, along with all joining kit like PSI, gratuity, company application form, bank opening form, etc., etc. Okay, that is must. One must obtain that, and write the date of joining is very important. And the determination of the amount of the gratuity in case of dispute, you have to go to the controlling authorities. Here also there are inspectors. Normally the labor department is the enforcing officer. They have also got powers. They will come and see the inspections, complaints about this nomination, etc. And the recovery of the gratuity, there is a provision in that. Okay, it is a penalties are also there for non-compliance. One important thing one must keep in mind is protection of the gratuity. My dear professionals, this fact please understand and keep in mind. No gratuity payable under this act and no gratuity payable to an employee shall liable to be attachment in any execution or decree or order of any civil, revenue or criminal court. Gratuity cannot be attached. In other words, in your full and final settlement, or if you have given any loan to the employee, or employee is due to the company for any reasons, non-settlement, you cannot adjust this money. As simple as that. This is very important. Keep in mind. Okay. So that is what the one more. And the new amendment, rather than I don't say new amendment, new provision included after this 2018 or 19 standing order amendment, fixed term employment, one word has been added in the model standing order. So this fixed term employment is for any service period on project or a marketing need or a requirement of the organization. It need not be 5 years. It can be 2 years, 3 years, depending on the project. There also, when a person is eligible for the gratuity, there this 5 years condition is not there. Even on the proportionate also, it can be done. There is one new addition, fixed term employment. Depending on that, you must be aware. That is the one only change. And an act to override the other enactments, because it is money like a reserve bank. And notice of opening and closure, employer has to do compliance prospect, and display of the notice, employer has to do. So those are all the provisions under the thing of that. Okay, display notices containing the receipt of the notice. This is one of the compliance point on that. Thus, to complete, as far as the compliance of the gratuity is concerned, Form A is notice of opening. Whenever an organization starts, the employer has to submit to the department and keep acknowledgement copy. Form B in case of any changes. Form C closing. Okay, if an organization is closed or wind up, Form C has to be submitted. Form F, I have already told, nomination, and notice under gratuity, which has to be displayed in English as well as in the vernacular language. These are all compliance points, mandatory. Okay, in some of the companies, group gratuity or LIC linked the gratuity, they'll all take. Of course, they are all allowed under the Income Tax Act. Law is nothing to do that, but under the new labor code, insurance has been mandatory so that protection is given. So this is only for your information sake. Thus, the payment of the gratuity, application for the act to the, in case of problem, refer to the controlling authorities, make payment gratuity, determine the amount of the gratuity, okay, to deposit the gratuity of a deceased employee under certain circumstances, give notice of opening, change of closure, establishment, obtain nomination, and display the abstract of the rules and the act. So these are all mandate under the payment of the gratuity act. My dear friends, this is what you have to understand. This is existing law and this is all in operation. Only one thing, again, just for your information, I am telling, under the Code of Wages, new law, which is suffering from stillborn, because maternity, it is under like a maternity, because date of effect has not come. In that, there is no any change, but fixed term employment has been added there. Because of the change in the definition of the wage, gratuity amount will be more, because earlier we used to say only basic and DA, but there the retaining allowance will be also there, because 50% basic is the mandate under the new labor code, which yet it is not implemented. I am giving this information only for your knowledge, but otherwise whatever currently it is existing should not be less than minimum wage. Otherwise your structure, which should be higher, definitely higher than minimum wage, that will all go. So, well, friends, these are all the provisions of payment of gratuity act. Now, next, quickly, I'll take the Industrial Dispute Act. Industrial Dispute Act, my dear friend, strictly speaking, it will take minimum, I need 3 days to deliberate, because that is a big subject. But I am going to say very, very quickly to you. I will not go into the details, but that basic knowledge is very important for students of the labor laws. Okay, is it visible?
Sir.
Visible?
Sir.
Okay. Now, Industrial Dispute Act. As the name itself suggests, Industrial Dispute Act. Dispute. This act to make provision for the investigation and settlement of industrial disputes and for certain other purposes. As simple. Normally, in a house also, even in the family, we come across difference of opinion. We come across addition, separation, quarrel. Okay, will all come across. Why not in industry? Why not in establishment? They're bound to come. So when it is not resolved between the employer and employee, or in the available means, then what is the way? Then there is a machinery. And how they have to be regulated and how they have to be managed. This is all about Industrial Dispute Act. Okay. Here also the definitions of industry definition is there. Let us not worry about that. Industrial Dispute Act definition is also there between employer, employee, employee, employee. All that will be there. Then what is industrial establishment is defined. Public utility service, very important definition. You must be aware, like water, electricity, railway, telegraph service. These are all public utility service. Then settlement, important one of the definition. When there is any settlement or MOU between the employer and employee for wages, settlement or working conditions, that is called settlement we call, or long-term settlement we say in HR language, long-term settlement. There is a format and the way for that. Then what are unlabor where practices are also mentioned on the part of the employer and employee. Then what is wage is defined. Workman is defined, very important definition, because this law provides protection to the workman. Then section 2(8) on dismissal, what one can do that. And one more definition of works committee for amity and good relations to bring on the shop floor day-to-day problems of the employer-employee in relation to the production and productivity that works committee will discuss. In case of any problem or petition or dispute, when it is not resolved, there is an officer called conciliation officer, what we call mediator. between your employer and employee, government. And boards of conciliations are also there, court of the inquiry, labor courts, tribunals, national tribunals. These are all some of the terminologies, important definitions that we see in Industrial Dispute Act. Now, one more important thing, you as a practitioner and you as an advisor to many organizations, you have to keep in mind, any service conditions of an establishment, if at all you intend to change or modify, definitely there will be resistance from the employees. They may be good old employees. It may be good old practice. Then, you have to provide notice. That is called notice of change. Section 9A, we say. What are all that? Big one, I think Schedule 4, it is mentioned. If you want to change, you have to provide prior notice of 21 days. Without doing that, you cannot change the service conditions of the employee. That you keep in mind. Because this is one of the root cause for the dispute between employer and employee. Okay. Then in case when all these disputes are not resolved between employer and employee, in spite of persuasion, in spite of sitting deadlocks, we use the word deadlock. Whenever that is there, government can refer this dispute to the labor court or tribunal. That provision is there so that activities of the organizations can go well without any interruption. Economy will not suffer. Finance will not affect. That is the whole idea of that. Okay. So that is what the provision. Then what are all the duties and procedures of the conciliation officer? Big chapters are there. Will not go into that. But one tip of the information, what I want to provide you, in case of any notice by conciliation officer to you in respect of any petitions or disputes by your employees or your workers, okay, then please attend to that. Okay, please go and attend and submit your version, that you please don't fail. If you fail, then it will go against you. That much I can say right now. What are all these duties? The Act has given very elaborately. So let us will not go into that. Once all these courts and all that, they pass the order, it is called an award. And it has got a legal entity and legal force will be there. One more important provision under the Industrial Dispute Act is strikes and lockouts. Very important provision. In fact, when I was studying law, my professor has taken 1 week to elaborate on this topic when I was a student of law. Okay, 1 week it was deliberated by my professor, but I am going to provide you in just 2 minutes. Here, what I want to say is prohibition of strikes and lockouts are mentioned. There is a procedure for that. They have to provide prior notice if at all they want to go on strikes and lockouts. The reason is work should not be affected. Work should not be stopped because so many direct and indirect effects will be there. Then government can prohibit the strike. That will be the provision. The same way, the employer also cannot declare illegal lockout. Strike is a weapon in the hands of the workers, employees. Lockout is a weapon in the hand of the employer. And also prohibition of financial aid to illegal strikes and lockouts. This is one more important thing because illegal things should not continue. Industry should not suffer. One more important provision, firms, friends, you might have heard synonymous word, layoff and retrenchment. Please understand, whenever in foreign countries layoff is mentioned, their layoff is different. Our country, Industrial Dispute Act layoff is different. In foreign countries, layoff means there the termination, okay, separation. But in India, in our country, layoff is, no, it is not a separation. It is a temporary separation in India, not permanent separation. It is a temporary disablement. Okay, this is what you have to keep in mind. Layoff is the employer can do on accumulation of stock, power failure, lack of orders. Then he cannot go on paying the wages because the overheads will be more. To come in such circumstances, the employer can pay 50% and keep the employees layoff. That is a provision. In spite of all that, work will be not there. Then there are no hopes of continuing. Then the employer can retrench them. It means dispense of the employees. Or any department over a period may become redundant. Then he can close that department by following the procedure of the law. All these layoff and retrenchment procedures are mentioned. There are 2 chapters here. Chapter 5, applicable for the establishments where there are less than 100 and below employees. Chapter 5b, same provisions. It is applicable where there are more than 100 and above employees. Okay, big organizations that they will do. The difference here is this chapter 5 is less than 100. Government intervention is not required. Only with the notice to the government after 50 number of employees. In chapter 5B, prior approval of the government is required in case of layoff and retrenchment. Okay, so these are the only thing that you keep in mind. More than this, right now I'll not bother you on this thing because it is a very difficult subject, and as I said, it takes a lot of time. I'll not go into that. And also there is a chapter called closure, which you all chartered accountants must be aware. Nowadays, a lot of acquisitions, mergers, all these takes place. That is the day. Those are the days today nowadays, mergers and acquisitions. As you apply your laws of income tax and company law, etc., in the Industrial Dispute Act, undertaking, there is a provision of industry undertaking. That provision will be there. As far as the employees matters are transfer of undertaking, transfer of undertaking, a provision is there. That provision in respect of the employees, their liability, etc., taking, etc., everything is mentioned. You people have to, along with all your other tax related and other finance related taking, this fact relating to this, you have to take into the consideration, follow and comply the provisions of this law. That is transfer of undertaking. It is all called. Okay, so those are all the, here also there are penalties and miscellaneous provisions will be there. Then as I said, first schedule mentions about public utility service. Second schedule mentions about the jurisdiction of the labor codes. I request all of you to read in detail. Going to the Industrial Dispute Act, what matters will be there, you will come to understand. Third schedule, matters within the jurisdiction of Industrial Tribunal. Fourth schedule, I said, change of service conditions, which you have to provide the notice. Fifth schedule is unfair labor practice. Okay, you should not do bad things. That is on the part of the employer and the unions, on the part of the workmen and the trade unions. Okay, so those are all the provisions in the Industrial Dispute Act you have to keep in mind. And my dear friends, again, Industrial Dispute Act is a very difficult and highly legal subject. Highly legal subject. Advocates and attorneys, they make a lot of money. Voluminous cases will be there. Books are there in that. What I try to provide you in a capsule manner. What are all the provisions involved in that? Okay, just I try to inform you in that. That is all. Of course, under the new labor code, it has been come as a code on industrial relations code. Okay, there this act and other three acts have been merged and they have been made one law. Some of these provisions are made simplified. Okay, that is only for your information. Right now, you don't worry about that one. Since I am providing you updation, that's all. This is all about the Industrial Dispute Act provisions funds. Friends. Well, my dear friends, now I have completed 4 acts. I think now with this, let me give you 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes break because you need some refreshment, refresh also, not refreshment, refresh also. May I request all of you to please, wherever you are sitting, sit straight on your chair. Sit straight on your chair wherever you are sitting. Okay? Then close your eyes. Wherever you are sitting, please close your eyes. Don't see here and there. Please close your eyes. Close your eyes and be calm and quiet. Don't open your eyes till I say. Relax. Aram se relax. Anyway, you have closed your eyes. Don't think of anything. Relax because your eyes have been tired for having seen for 1 hour. Breathe. Breathe. Take deep breath. Leave it. Take deep breath. Leave it. Now slowly open your eyes. Dear friends, slowly open your eyes. Okay, I hope now you are all relaxed. And take your palms and wipe on your eyes. Aram se comfortably, lightly wipe your eyes. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your quick exercise. I hope you now you got little relief. Anyway, now quickly, our next important topic is on payment of bonus act. Okay, it is also again very important act. As the name itself suggests, bonus. Okay, it provides for the payment of bonus to persons employed in establishments based on the basis of profits or on the basis of production or productivity for matters connected therewith. Okay, this is all nothing but a profit sharing, to say in one word. And this is also again very important. Sometimes bone of contention will be also there between employer and employees. And the first instance, it applies to every factory, every establishment where there are more than 20 or more persons are employed. But government can make a provision for 10 also. And in this, establishment includes departments, undertakings, and branches. It means you might have innumerable branches all over India or all over Karnataka. Under one establishment, everything is concerned. Okay, they are all one establishment, that is all there, unless there is a separate profit center you decide and make. That is what a establishment definition. Okay, and if it is separate balance sheet, everything is mentioned, then it is a separate establishment, otherwise one establishment. Basically, first thing what we say in the thumb man's rule, though the law stipulates very elaborately when an establishment commences, first 5 accounting years. Okay, following the accounting year, bonus is not applicable. That is first rule. Okay, bonus is not, it remains first 5 years, then following the accounting year, that is 6th year, then payable is in 7th year, that is first bonus. Okay, employer need not pay, that is called infancy period we call. But one thing you remember, in that first 5 years or first 6 years, if your organization makes profit, yes, the employer has to pay the minimum bonus. That is one of the provision you have to keep in mind. Okay, however, employees of LIC, universities, education institutions, hospital, Chamber of Commerce, RBI, UTI, social welfare institutions are not entitled for the bonus act. These are all some exemptions. Okay, and establishment, this is all provided based on the productivity and the production. That is all. For that, your figures will speak. Eligibility for the bonus, a person has to put in minimum 30 working days in that accounting year. And another important provision is person is eligible who is drawing wages less than 21,000 and below. They are eligible. Rest all is, they are all out of bonus. And to give the bonus in 2018 or 19, Act was amended. Earlier it was 3,500. Bonus has to be paid, limiting to the 7,000 rupees per month or the basic or the minimum wage, whichever is high. Okay, in a year, that is how the bonus has to be paid for all that. What is salary and wage? It is all defined. Again, is bonus is on the basic and DA of that. It will be all counted. What are all exclusions is also mentioned in that. Okay, so that is what persons who are all going to work in that accounting year, subject to 30 days working, they are all eligible. Then computation of the number of working days are also mentioned. You can go through that. This qualification for bonus also like gratuity act. Here also there is a disqualification, same, almost same provisions are there that you can keep in mind. I will not go into that act. Deduction of certain amounts from bonus payable, same any loss or anything is made. And bonus payable is minimum 8.33, maximum is 20,000. After 5 years, whatever we say, after that, 8.33 is the bonus payment that becomes the mandate, 20% is maximum. And a bonus payable within 8 months completion of the accounting year. It means March we complete the accounting year, November 30th night 12 o'clock is the last day. So by completion of that accounting year, within 8 months, bonus has to be paid. That is all mandate. Then calculation of the bonus, how it will be all done. It is a very big subject. There are schedules. You have to go through that. Okay. Then set on, set off, all those available surplus, everything is there. It is all a right lot of accounting work referring to that schedule. I think you people all, you can go through, and it's a very big subject. 80% of the people, they are not aware. Rather than I don't say not aware, knowledge gap is there. I think, my dear friends, you can make use of that. Okay. I'll not go into that detail now because of the paucity of the time. Then duties and rights of the employers and duties. Here, the employer has to calculate, keep it thing, this is the thing, and he has to maintain all that. And annual return he has to submit, cooperate with the inspectors for the audit and all that. Rights of the employee, okay. Rights of the employer, he can forfeit the bonus in case of the employee's problem. Permissible deduction he can make. He can refer the dispute in case of any problem. Rights of the employees, the employee can claim the bonus subject to his minimum conditions. Okay, he can refer the dispute to the labor department. Okay, and his limit he can see. Right to seek the clarification he has all got. And in case recovery of the bonus due, also there is a provision is mentioned in that. Okay, and offenses are also there in the bonus act. If it is not done, then how it will all happen. And these are all certain schedules. You must be aware, my dear friends, it is all your subject. I mean, lot of accounting and finance matters are involved here with reference to the balance sheet. First schedule, computation of gross profit. Second schedule, computation of gross profit. Third schedule, fourth schedule. These are all the things. Then records and registers to be maintained under the bonus act is Form A, computation of the allocable surplus under section so and so. Form B, set on and set off of allocable surplus. Form C, bonus disbursement register for the accounting year to the employees. This is a mandate register. Now you can make it online. Then annual return. The employer has to submit before 1st February of every year online bonus due, return. In Karnataka, now it is combined annual return. He can submit that one. Under central, for the Shrama Suvidha, under that, he can submit this return. Those are all the returns. Obligations of the employer, he has to make the payment of the bonus based on the eligibility 8.33. Okay. Even after the loss, after 5 years, make the maximum bonus payment depending on the calculation. Pay bonus within 8 months of the completion of the accounting year. Maintain and observe the register's record and submit annual returns. So these are all in a quick snap. Okay. Payment of the bonus act provisions, my dear friends. So please keep in mind, most of the time, bonus act is a bone of contention. Here, everybody is eligible. I told two conditions, 21,000 and below, whether regular employee, contract employee, left employee, or living employee. For everybody, it is available. That fact you keep in mind, because on this, I get a lot of questions from all over India, from various compliance people. Okay, that's all. Now we completed the better payment of gratuity act. Now let me go to the maternity benefit act. Okay, very quickly I'll go through with reference. With reference to the Karnataka, I'll go through the maternity benefit act. Quick highlights I'll provide you. Next one. How to export the is close. Stop. Stop. Now we'll share duty. Yes. Atal, I think it is not opened. Go back. Go back. That you close payment of bonus. This to close. Just close. Yeah. Now you come. Share. Take on desktop. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Visible, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Maternity Benefit Act, obligations of the employer, okay, and Maternity Benefit Act is applicable where there are more than 10 employees. Don't ask male or female. The Act states only 10 employees, okay. And during the maternity period, I mean, during when she is conceiving, obligations of the employer, he should not give arduous work. Okay, he has to provide rest. He should not be continuously standing and all that. And he has to pay the wages also during that period. That is one. And also, whenever he receives notice and to get a maternity benefit, employee has to put in 80 days of the work. That is one condition. Okay. So, and once that is there with the proof of the certificate, etc., woman is employed for a maternity benefit act, and that will be paid to her. It is nothing but a full salary, and the employer cannot contravene this provision, and she has to provide all the information, and the employer has to also maintain registers, records, muster roll, etc. And also, this another provision, what they have done is this Maternity Benefit Act. Earlier, it was now it is a Maternity Benefit Act. It has been enhanced the maternity period. So the maternity period, and it has to be played. And employer has to provide during once after maternity benefit, employer has to provide nursing breaks, milking for the babies also during the rest hours he has to pay, and also for adoptive and commissioning mothers also. Now it has been allowed for all that. And another provision under the new provision when Act was amended, after maternity period, after that leave, work from home if they need, subject to both consent. So that is also allowed, which is given option. And creche facility is made where there are more than 50 employees. It is obligatory on the part of the employer under the Maternity Benefit Act to provide a creche. Nursing break should be given. One more important provision, my dear friends, you have to come to keep in mind, any new employee, whenever he or she joins your organization, it is your duty to inform about the provisions and benefits available under the Maternity Benefit Act and also the Employees Compensation Act. It is a mandate and you have to make the record for all that. And it is available for all establishment from 2017. Earlier maternity leave was 12 weeks. Now it has been made 26 weeks. Now it is 26 weeks. Okay. And more than 2 children, it is up to 2 children. And if a woman has third delivery and all that, then 12 weeks. Then it is not 26 weeks. And any adoptive mother, she adopts a child, 12 weeks maternity leave will be there. Okay. That is one provision. And one more with reference to the creche rules, it is mentioned. Maternity Benefit Act, even the Karnataka government has also made creche rules. Like that, it is how the creche should be there, what format, what is the number, what is the play, okay, etc. All that is all mentioned. Then nursing, how the children have to be maintained there, okay. etc., etc. All those are all mentioned in that. Employer has to keep in mind, as per that, creech has to be maintained. One thing what you have to understand here is creech, it need not be only in the premise. Supposing due to the less strength or some of the problems, the employer is unable to maintain the creech in his premise, or maybe space inadequacy may be there. In such case, nearest or combined creech is also allowed. Nearby surrounding and all that, that provision is also there. Like Bangalore city, Kempegowda Road. If women are definitely more than 15, any one shop or a mall, there will be no place for the keeping the creech. Can they make? No. In all such case, nearby one can go. So that is what the idea of maternity benefit creech rules. Okay, creech rules, they are there under that one has to make the provision. Okay, my dear friends, the next and the final act, what I would like to highlight you on, Industrial Employment Standing Order Act. Now, this Industrial Employment Standing Order Act is applicable other than shops and establishment to all other establishment. Of course, many of the shops and establishments are act also, but IT industry, it is a shop act. It is a commercial act, commercial establishment. But government by special notification extended the provision and Standing Order Act is applicable. What is standing order? Standing order is nothing but a service conditions rules, terms and conditions rules. That's what, to say in one word. Okay. An act to provide, require employers of industrial establishment formally to define the conditions of employment under them. That is what the conditions. That is what I say, service conditions. It is applicable as far as the Central Act is concerned. It is more than 100 employees, wherever they are there. Obligation on the part of the employer to draft a standing order and get it certified. But in Karnataka, it is 50 and above. In some other state, it varies. Therefore, you have to refer respective state. Since I am talking of Karnataka, 50 and above, if employees are there, one has to draft the standing order based on model standing order provisions and submit to the certification. Okay. Then the certifying officer, normally in Karnataka, it is a deputy labor commissioner. In that, employer is the occupier. What is industrial establishment is also defined. Prescribed strings are also there. Standing orders. Trade unions are also there, because wherever employees trade union is there, are there. They are also parties to that. Then wages and the workman, okay, that will be all there. The procedure is on applicability. Employer has to draft a standing order, okay, and he has to submit in prescribed forms are there with the particulars to the certifying officer with the 5 copies. Once that is there, then if unions are there, they will seek the opinion of the union. If unions are not there, representatives of the employees' opinion will be taken. Then that procedure is there. Then Deputy Labor Commissioner will call for the inspection with due notice. Then matter will be discussed between employer, employees representative, and the Labor Commissioner. Adoption, deletion, all that can be done. Concurrence will be taken. Then he will put his chapa or certify. Maybe with certain modifications. He will go through whether it is as per the schedule, it is done or not done. Everything will go through, and then he puts his seal, and that is called certification. Once he puts his seal certified, then it is called certified standing order. Okay, then that copy will be given. 1 month time will be there for any appeal or anything. Then afterwards, it becomes the law. Then it is applicable for all the employees. Once that is there, the employer has to inform all the employees. In fact, the law mentions it should be displayed on the notice board. 1 copy to be displayed, both in English and vernacular language. Because everybody should know. Then that becomes the law. And it applies not only to the existing employees, even to the future employees. In the future, if there are any changes, that called amendment. The employer has to do the amendment. And in this standing order, Points like classification of the workmen, like permanent, temporary, practitioner, apprentice, manner of intimating of the workman, periods of the work, holiday, payday, shift working, attendance and late coming. Okay. Conditions of procedure in applying for and the law, etc., holiday, requirement to enter premises by certain gates, liability for search, close and opening, termination of the employment, suspension of the employee, disciplinary action, then what we can say, intellectual property, communication, rights and duties of the employer, layoff, retrenchment, closure, age of the retirement, and many other points. All these are all in the detail going to be elaborated. And as I said, it is a service conditions. It is a beautiful act. I request all of you to should read this act, whether applicable or not applicable to your establishment, but you should read. By reading that, you will come to know the industrial structure, and I'm sure many of your unanswered questions will be answered. And you will come to know, oh, wow, these are all the terms and conditions. Oh, this is how industry will be there. Oh, this is how we have to approach. Oh, this is all the remedy. This is all the answer. That is the feeling you get once you read this standing order. Now, as far as the central rules are concerned, in the year 2018, I think, if I remember correctly, or 19, amendment was made to the central rules, and a fixed term appointment was introduced in that. Of course, though this clause was there in Industrial Dispute Act. Fixed term appointment, that provision is included in the standing order, central rules. Now it has been allowed for state rules also under the new labor code. Central rules amendment in 2018 made, and it came effective from 16th September. The central rule states in this standing order is fixed term employment is introduced. As I already said while discussing the Industrial Dispute Act, fixed term employment is appointment. It is not a permanent employment. Maybe it is for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, depending on your project or depending on any product or marketing conditions or any innovation, okay, etc., etc. In that period, you can keep, but you have to pay the gratuity there. Okay, that is what in Gratuity Act I say. And it is introduced there. And when this is introduced, the Act states central rules, you cannot convert other permanent posts to the fixed term employment. That is one of the term. And nothing can be added to the fixed term employment of the existing post. That is another condition it has been made. And in the classification of the like permanent, temporary, casual, there also fixed term can be added. It is all there. And for fixed term appointment employees, it should be the same like that regular employees, working hours, benefits, luxuries, anything, whatever you are giving, this should not be lesser than that. On the same terms and conditions of the employee, that will be all there. And now, if you want to terminate these fixed term employees earlier than whatever is stipulated in a written order, though you have taken on fixed term employee, then you can provide prior notice as stipulated under the written conditions. So these are all some of the changes and amendments that have been incorporated under the 2018 Industrial Employment Standing Order Central Rules. Okay. So now once this labor code come in Industrial Relations Code, Industrial Dispute Act, Standing Order Act, and the Trade Union Act, all these put together have been merged, made Industrial Relations Code. There the standing order provision is not applicable till 300 and below employees. That is a new law. Once labor code comes, again I'm only giving you for information. Okay, that is not the law now. Current law is only this standing order. Okay, now we are in between, buffer between new law and labor code. So currently we have to follow this one. This is all about the standing order provisions, okay, of the Industrial Employment Standing Order Act, okay, as stipulated under the central rules. Well, my dear friends, these are all very quick snap, and whatever I have taken all updation. In the beginning, as I said, probably after 18 and 21, there are no any changes. Karnataka government has made shops and establishment 30 to 45 days accumulation, that is a new change, and 10 hours working in shops that is made, and industrial employment standing order, fixed term employment that has been added. Okay, that is what, and maternity benefit act. Okay, from provisions of that 26 week is made, adoptive mother, and creche rules, and 50 and above creche applicability. These are only the changes that have been made. And as far as the minimum wage is concerned, as far as Karnataka is concerned, every year there is a change in the cost of living index. Based on that, DA will be taken. And even for that, you can view my YouTube channel, wherein you can see how this DA is calculated, what is correct thing and all that. I think it is viewed by more than 3,000 or 4,000 viewers in my YouTube as far as the Karnataka minimum wage is concerned. You can log in and see. Anyway, friends, this is all in a short, in a capsule manner. Big subject I capsuled, and in a limited time. I hope I am complying the law given by my organizers. But anyway, 5-10 minutes I have to keep for question answer. Otherwise, I am not doing any justice. Okay. So with that, once again, I thank the organizers remembering me for more than 2 decades. Every year they provide me an opportunity, and I also enjoy and share my knowledge. My dear friends, I have already shared in all my PPTs, my contact details, my website, my YouTube channel, and all that. www.hrresonance.in is my YouTube channel, and YouTube HR space resonance channel is my YouTube channel, wherein more than 90 videos. Recently, final settlement, then leave encashment and salary. I have released latest video that I have done. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, delayed payment of provident fund, how it attracts, that I am releasing the video. Make use of that as and when you need. In case of those any difficulties, go to Google, type Ram K Navaratna, you will receive all my details, whatever is requirement. With this, thank you very much for one and all. Last but least, for the listeners also. Now, relating to my presentation, if there are any question, it is my pleasure to take that one. I am hand over to Chairman, sir.
Sir, there are some few questions. Is there? Can I ask now?
Yes, please.
Sir, is payment of gratuity act applicable to NGOs, trust, and Section 8 companies?
NGOs, that I have to really refer and come back. Right now, I do not remember. There are some exclusions clauses are also there. Okay, like a cooperative 50 and above, something it is like that. In that, right now, I'll note down that. I'll update on that. Okay.
Okay.
NGOs, I have noted. Right now, I do not remember. Okay, I have to refresh and I'll do.
Sir,
Because most of the time we do with industry only, NGO will not come in our mind. Yeah.
Whether CA firms are required to obtain shops and establishment registration, sir?
Of course, PF is nothing to do with the Shops Act. It is PF will take the definition of establishment, whether it is a shop, or factory, or whatever that will be there. As far as the PF applicability is concerned, whether it's a shop, factory, establishment, contractor establishment, trading, 10 and above in a preceding year, more employees 10 and above are there, PF starts its applicability. Therefore, in any shops and establishment, if the employee strength, that is not only direct, including indirect, if they exceed 10, immediately PF is applicable. That one must be very cautious and see and start complying.
Okay. Is there any case law, sir? Because one case law in that question only there, somebody has typed, as per Karnataka High Court, 2012, CA is neither a shop nor a commercial establishment. They have given an order. Is it applicable, or we are still have to get?
I think that is there. Even just 2 days back, I read, but details have not gone. Gujarat High Court, just 2022 in October, given judgment. Chartered accountancy establishments are not under ESI and PF. Okay, they are not establishment as deemed. Just 2 days back, I received that one. Okay, that will be there. But right now, as per my knowledge and all that, PF and ESI authorities, they take the shelter under establishment. Okay, establishment and wage, employee activity, all that they take and they are doing that one. That is the position as only. But yet, Act, it is not mentioned that exclusion and all that. Okay, these are all the judgments. Okay, judgments, as we know, they are applicable for respective cases, respective matters and respective states. It is not uniform law. They are judgment laws. So keeping that one, they have to take a call.
One more question. If few of the employees have basic more than 15,000 per month, is PF contribution from employer and employee mandatory in those cases?
Now, it is a very good question. As far as the PF is concerned, 15,000 is the limit, number one. Number second point, what you have to do, if he is already a member, when he is enjoying the membership by any reason, by way of increment or enhancement or revision, if the salary exceeds more than 15,000 also, he continues to be a member. That is the law. Number two. Therefore, he will continue as a PF member, but subject to limiting to the 15,000. The employer need not go beyond that 15,000 contribution, whatever it comes, 1,800 or what. That is the thing. He will continue as a PF member, had he been already a member. That is the position.
If an employee become EPF member and later if he joins a company where there is no PF registration, should the company mandatorily register under PF Act?
No. Here two questions. He is already a member and joined another organization. That organization, whether covered or not covered, is first one thing. That new organization, depending on the number, applicability has to be seen, and then it has to be taken.
No, if that company less than 10 members, but he has joined, whether firm has to be registered or something?
No, if company is less than 10, if he is a 10th or 11th member, is he 10th or 11th member?
No, he's 9th member.
If he is a 9th member, then PF will be not there, because that establishment is not covered, because where he is going to be there. Had this establishment is under PF, then had he been joined, because he was already member, then his PF would have been continued here. So therefore, since in this establishment itself is not covered under the PF, so therefore he will be a non-member.
Okay. If the monthly salary of an employee is 26,000, can he opt out of EPF after paying for few months?
Now, once he is already a member, I think it will all go. Then in all such case, it is advised is because he is already a member. Because he is already a member, 15,000 is mandatory. Over and above, he can reduce or do this one. Because since he is already a member, I think he has to continue as a member. In between, he cannot opt out unless he changes the employment. That is what my understanding.
If employer is opening an establishment in a different state, whether we can pay PF in the same establishment order or we need to register in that state?
It's a good question. Now what happens, many of the companies are pan-India. And again, this Provident Fund is a central act. It is a central provision. The employer can keep everything in a centralized, whatever the state has got. From there only he can operate. That is not a thing the law allows. Now everything is online. That is not a problem at all. And in some cases, even for administrative purpose, they take sub number or administrative purpose number they provide. But now it is a pan-India basis. It is all computerized and all that. They can operate from same state, extending the benefit.
Sir, one more question. If a company has an office in Mumbai and another branch in Bangalore, Mumbai office has got 8 employees, whereas Bangalore office has got 15 employees. In this case, obtaining EPF, PF and ESI registration is mandatory for both the locations or any one location.
Here, what happens again, because establishment under same name, brand and account, it is all establishment. Perhaps people might have observed in my presentation, establishment is it is all extension of all that. For that purpose, even in the application, whether head office, registered branches, anything is there, all that is all going to be asked. I think here, if I have understood correctly, both number will be taken and a number will be generated. But for the ESI, for the service purpose, because ESI is a benefit, medical benefit. For service purpose, service can be extended in the where, that member leaves that. That is how in this case, it should happen.
No, sir. Registration has to be taken in both places, Mumbai and Bangalore.
No, because both together number you are taking, both together number you are taking. Okay, it will be only one registration. It will be only one. The company name is only one. Branches are two. It is all for one establishment code will be provided.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And for applicability of statutory bonus, the criteria is 21,000. Whether it is a gross salary or basic salary, sir.
Basic DA. Basic
What
DA.
is that?
Yes, basic DA.
Basic plus DA. Okay.
Yes, only.
During the settlement, whether wages for unavailed leaves are to be compulsorily paid and whether the amount can be paid on basic wages under Karnataka SND instead of total wages.
It should be unavailed leave, total wages have to be paid. Total wages have to be paid. Just to make it more clarify, reasonability I am telling. When a person apply leave, how much wages you will get? Full wages you will get. When I go on leave, my wages will be full.
Not only
Just
basic.
because of some reason he has not availed or organization might have not given the leave. Therefore, it is availed. Therefore, while at the settlement, it is a full wage. F and F.
So professional tax applicable to Karnataka branch office irrespective of there is no employee.
Professional act, I'm not so much well versed, but this professional act, two things. One is establishment and another is employees, what we deduct and pay. You think if my understanding and my knowledge is correct, establishment professional tax will be there. As far as the employees is concerned, no, because professional tax is applicable over and above of 15,000 rupees. Here there are no employees and no deduction and all that. That registration will not be there. But that has to be informed to the department. This is what I understand as far as professional tax is concerned.
Sir, how many years we have to maintain the record, sir?
3 years in labor laws.
Okay.
3 years I mentioned already. Preservation of the records, 3 years.
Can you refer any good books for labor law, sir?
Malik will be there. Malik is the good lift and one Malik I have come across, but I'll let you know. I'll send the list. Right now I do not remember. Okay, though I have kept a bonus, gratuity, everything all combined together. Malik is one good book, I can say. What I remember.
Sir, one more question on minimum wages act. Can the principal employer, through an agreement with labor contractor, catch the onus of paying less than minimum wages on them and get an annual certification from them that they alone are responsible for compliance under the Minimum Wages Act?
100% wrong, and it is not allowed. That is what in the presentation, one of the terminology I mentioned, contracting out. Contracting out, one terminology I mentioned. So it is called contracting out. It is illegal, unacceptable, and action will be there on that. It cannot. And such agreement is null and void.
Thank you,
Please
sir.
don't entertain such agreements.
Sir, few companies are paying gratuity to the employees on a monthly basis and include the gratuity as the part of the salary package. Whether it is correct, keeping in view of the provisions of Payment of Gratuity Act?
Yes, many times even I conduct a lot of companies, HR and labor law compliance audit I do. I come across this case. Giving the monthly, I don't say it is completely wrong. Okay, completely wrong. For some of the reasons, it is all given. Number one. Number two, what is I'm talking the bonus, right? I'm talking bonus, right? I'm talking
Gratuity.
about bonus. Yeah. Now, bonus is what? Bonus is payable on profitability. Act number one. Number two, 8.33 or 10 or 12 or 15. When you come to know, after completion of your accounting year and the calculation only you will come to know. Strictly speaking, that is the reason 8 months time is given, and on that only, after completion of the accounting year, after the calculation, we have to pay. That is the reason. But nevertheless, if employer is paying monthly, what I suggest, bonus advance they can mention, number one. And at the end of the year, all that put together, 12 months, also in a tally with the calculation, he has to write in form C and obtain signature, and that becomes a compliance of the law. But strictly
Sir,
speaking, I advise monthly not to give. That's what my advice. Many of my client company also I do, but nevertheless, if they are giving, let them write bonus advance.
Sir, what if gratuity paid every month, including in the salary, and make it as a salary package? Whether it is correct, sir?
In my opinion, it is 100% wrong. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಮೋಸ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು 5 ವರ್ಷ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾಳೆ ಈಗಿನ ಟುಡೇ nowadays, no employment is guaranteed. No employment is guaranteed. Again, the gratuities for gratuitous act, eligibility conditions we already know. Okay. Therefore, if anybody is giving, I think some wrong advice, or he may lose and all that. Then
Monthly package we should not include. You mean to say?
No, should not. Even CTC complex, many of the IT company I come across, CTC concept they add. If they add, I don't say maybe in their wise decision they might have done, but when an employee leaves, okay, if it is a part of the CTC, then they have to pay, irrespective of 5 years. Because they have said it is a part of CTC. ಅಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಯಾಲ್ರಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾನೇ ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದೆ. ಟು ದಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಲೆಸ್ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಎವ್ರಿ ಮಂತ್. That becomes the bone of the contention. Don't get into that and the problem. Let the employee go happily. You also live happily.
No, whatever mention, irrespective of the nomenclature, if they paid monthly, it's a salary itself.
Therefore, it is not correct in mind.
Correct in under gratuity act.
Logic as well as the law, both point of view.
Sir, one more question. The foreign company in USA has more than 100 employees. The license office in Bangalore has only 5 employees. Is Gratuity Act applicable to Bangalore license office?
What is it a separate entity, same company, on deputation, all that, that will be,
Same
and
company.
your establishment definition again. We have to see the establishment definition there. Okay, we have to go with that. The definition. That will be the deciding factor.
Okay. If it is the same branch office, is it applicable, sir? Gratuity Act?
Of course, again, establishment, that is what the establishment definition and the employee definition, we have to go through with that context. We have to understand, and then we have to answer this question.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. And in case of compliance, I undertake compliance of various companies, either physical, online, any training program required in any of these things, any vetting of any HR policies, labor policies, any of these things. I have a full-fledged office in Yashwantpur. Anybody is needed, okay, it is my pleasure. And become to subscriber to my YouTube channel. Okay, we would like to see your views also. And thank you very much. I am available. It is my pleasure. Once again, I thank you for providing an opportunity.
Thanks a lot, sir, for your valuable time and knowledge for sharing with our members. I thank you for your efforts sharing your knowledge, sir.
Thank
I
you,
thank
sir.
on behalf of Bangalore branch of ICA, sir. I thank all the members who actively participated and raised so many queries and clarified so many of your doubts and other members' doubts also. Thank you all for active participation.
Thank you, sir. And you send me photocopy and screenshot of all these this program. Okay, please.
Oh, 1 minute, sir. I'll take it now only, sir. I'll ask Suraj. I request Suraj or Manish to take a screenshot of this.
Yes. And send me.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Good night. Good day
Good night.
to one and all. And Happy New Year to one and all.
Thank you, sir. Wish you the same.
Without forgetting Yugadi.
Thank you, sir.